Want to know the latest innovation in engineering? Are you curious about how technology and machinery works? The Kenya Engineer has answers for you. We are an authoritative journal covering engineering stories in Kenya and across East Africa. Log on to www.kenyaengineer.co.ke and get the latest on engineering jobs and tenders. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and join the amazing world of engineering. Kenya Engineer, mystifying engineering.
Awesome. Brought to you by Kenya Engineer and Rhino Cement, building Africa. Industrialization cannot be considered a luxury but a necessity for Kenya's development. With the help of engineers, huge investments have been made in the industrial sector through innovation and implementation of efficient systems. Kenya has a relatively large industrial sector whose share of the gross domestic product has increased marginally over the past 2 decades. The industrial sector's share of monetary GDP stands at 15.5% over the past 2 decades.
If you look at the scenario of a typical organization, they're concerned of 3 things, whether it's a power station or a water plant, water purification plant, or an industrial organization. They're consistently considering that when the system fails, they should be able to maintain it and ensure that they have minimum downtime. Downtime is costly for any organization, especially when they've invested so much in technology, which really earns maximum when it's running all the time. And similarly, we see that one of the key considerations and key challenges for business today is to see how they can have enough capability and capacity as far as knowledge is concerned to be able to foretell, to be able to tell what could be failing in the near future and address it efficiently. And increasingly, technical people and engineers are expected to not only maintain equipment, not only be able to repair equipment efficiently, but increasingly to transform its existing processes and structures to match market demands, issues on security for operators, as well as find ways in which they can increasingly have a high level of productivity and efficiency within the organization, which essentially means, that they are putting in the least amount but getting maximum value for their return in production.
Many experts agree that for Kenya to achieve its Vision 2030, the industrial sectors will need to grow. It is therefore the role of the engineer to ensure that the best systems are put in place for efficient and affordable production. This growth will create unprecedented demands for energy, food, land, water, transportation, earth moving, healthcare, telecommunication, and infrastructure.
We are fortunate, to have seen the progression of medicine from very basic, services to highly specialized services. We have been able to see very few specialists in our country to a very large, pool of trained, highly specialized, experienced, doctors in almost all fields, of medicine. We have also seen, great advancement in other areas, including kidney transplantation. We are seeing in neurosurgery, in the management of, common surgical problems where keyhole surgery has become, part and parcel of our everyday surgery through laparoscopic surgery. We have seen advent of operating microscopes, and indeed for the patients today, compared to the patient, 50 years ago, we can say Kenya and the world at large, has brought great advancement in the management of diseases and in the tools that the doctors has at their disposal, to take care of the patient.
Engineers in Kenya are already playing key roles in fulfilling those demands at various scales, ranging from remote small communities to large urban areas. Sustainable development will be impossible without the full input of the engineering profession. This begins from the planning and research stage before any of the systems can be implemented. The industrial engineer is skilled and trained in studying the internal economies of a manufacturing operation, its production costs, profitability, and consumption of raw materials.
It's through engineers that they create a natural interface between processes and technologies and people. It's their ability to envision what's expected and turn it around into a technical solution. It's also through their ability to ensure that modern plants and equipment and structures and infrastructure is adequately maintained and effectively maintained at an efficient level, which enables them to get the maximum use of that investment.
The engineer is then able to extend his analysis to indicate how the operation planned will contribute to the overall economy of the country, especially in the conservation of scarce resources such as skilled labor and capital.
The factory was initially constructed to do 2,000 tons of cane per day. We are slowly moving it towards 3,000 tons of sugar cane per day, giving us about 300 tons of sugar per day. But we had a bigger plan to expand, but because of the new millers who have come around us, we thought it would be better to focus on this smaller region so as to optimize rather than to expand. In that way, we'll be more efficient. We employ quite a big number of people around, and we involve the local community in our business, and so we are significant even in the region.
They are involved in manufacturing, operating, and maintaining industrial machines to ensure maximum productivity at minimum costs.
This facility produces green power from biomass. That biomass is a fibrous material from cane, and we burn it in steam boilers. We generate steam at high pressure. We use the steam both for processing the juice separated from the sugar cane, but we also use the steam to provide power for driving turbines and also other prime movers. At present operating levels, we produce 4 megawatts of power. However, there's inherent potential to produce 22 megawatts of power. But this requires a few other interventions. That fibrous waste from that optimized sugar plant will be sufficient to size a cogeneration facility that would produce about 22 megawatts, for which internal requirements would be somewhere in the range of about 7 megawatts, leaving about 15 megawatts available as surplus power for export to the grid and to generate some revenue.
The engineers at the proposal stages have always considered the community to ensure that the new industries will create employment, but at the same time improve social lives of the communities. In Kenya, the industrial sector comprises of the manufacturing, processing, quarrying or mining, and construction activities. Manufacturing sector accounts for approximately 2/3 of Kenya's industries and forms the core of industrial sector.
Financing of healthcare is still something that is still a problem, and convincing financiers to finance healthcare was a problem. However, things have changed. I think, and because quite a number of health facilities that have come up have convinced banks and other financiers that it is worthwhile to finance health institutions as profitable enterprises that will can grow, because it's only through positioning ourselves as enterprises that then we can spur growth in the sector and indeed be able to invest in the kind of equipment.
Manufacturing sector is mainly agro-based, meaning that many of them deal in food production. Examples of industries in Kenya are the flour industry, cement industry, vehicle assembly industry, sugar industry, among others.
The factory basically is a physical conversion unit. It converts raw material to finished product. Our basic raw material here is sugarcane, which we source largely from outgrower farmers to the tune of about 90%. About 10 to 15% comes from our own farms. Typically, many people would not understand that we do not make sugar in this factory. The sugar is made by the sugarcane plant in the field. As what we do is we extract it in as most an efficient process, and in the process also we try and limit losses, because it is a process that has inherent significant loss potential.
This was put up to use molasses from the sugar factories to produce pour alcohol. At that time, there was no use of molasses in the sugar factory, and disposal was a challenge. This project was started in 1982. Initially, there were some challenges. Then company reverted from pour alcohol to rectified spirits in the east. And then further down the line, we added extra neutral alcohol to our kitty. So this way we have moved with our products. We have a variety of products, like we have methylated spirits, which is being sold to hospitals and for industries. Then we have extra neutral alcohol. This is used for fortification of liquor. And most of the liquor manufacturers are our customers. And more than 50% of our product is sold in Uganda and Tanzania. And then we are producing active wet yeast. That wet yeast is being used by bakery industry. It's an import substitution. And then we produce active dry yeast, which is also used by fermentation.
Indeed, tremendous contribution to the economy has been witnessed in the past from the local assembly of vehicles. The Kenya National Bureau of Statistics data shows that 5,456 vehicles were assembled in Kenya in the 10 months to October 2012.
We have three main assembly operations in Kenya. We have General Motors, we have AVA in Mombasa, we have KVM in Thika. Those are the three main assembly plants with the installed capacity to do close to almost 20 to 25,000 vehicles per annum. So in terms of capacity to assemble and manufacture in Kenya, we have the capacity to actually meet the demands of the entire East African market. Right now, almost all of us are operating below our installed capacity. The last time the figures were computed, the entire vehicle manufacturing assembly in the region was operating at about 22% of its installed capacity.
Engineers will be involved in local manufacturing of engines and creating thousands of jobs in Kenya.
The structure of the industry is changing quite significantly. There is attraction into our region from major suppliers, from major automakers coming in to form partnership with local players. So that tells you the prospects are big. Again, the whole issue of East Africa integration, the whole issue of assembly manufacturing capability. Kenya is a very central location. We have, I think, in Africa, South Africa is quite strategic from the south, Kenya is quite strategic for the central, and North Africa for the north. So I see a big opportunity
for the industry just because of the location of Kenya to serve the emerging markets.
In part 2, we discuss the challenges of industrialization and how engineers are combating these challenges.
Rural Electrification Authority, lighting up rural Kenya. Rural Electrification Authority has invested 34 billion shillings so far to get electricity to the rural areas countrywide where thousands of Kenyans live. Now, more public institutions, trading centers, schools, health centers are getting connected to electricity. So far, Rural Electrification Authority has connected over 60% of all public institutions. By 2013, more than 1 million households will have electricity. Rural Electrification Authority, lighting up rural Kenya.
With industrialization as a key pillar of wealth creation in the economy, many have thought that rapid industrialization needs to be done. Engineers on their part focus on careful and well-researched innovation and industrial development to ensure it is sustainable and safe.
During the process of fermentation, carbon dioxide gas is generated, and we are in the process of putting up a CO2 recovery and purification plant. So we'll purify the CO2, and we'll also produce dry ice, which will be used for food preservation.
Undoubtedly, one of the main challenges faced is energy efficiency. Many industries rely on machines that consume a lot of energy, resulting in high costs of doing business. As a result, many of the engineers are looking into ways of energy conservation during the system processes.
Use the sun, including a sunroof, big open windows, easily ventilated so that you don't require air conditioning except in theaters, ICU and special areas, which also conserves energy. We are very passionate about planting trees, and we have planted as many trees as we could within the hospital compound, but also behind the hospital compound.
We have invested in an eco-friendly facility that biodegrades the organic matter in the effluent or the liquid waste, thereby generating biogas. And this biogas is used as a fuel supplement to our boilers, where we generate steam, and the steam that we generate using the biogas and a bit of fuel oil that we purchase from petroleum marketers are used to heat the water in the boiler to generate steam. This waste that we realize from our system, we manage in such a manner that instead of letting it out to the environment to harm the environment, we use it by creating value addition to biodegrade the organic matter in it, realizing energy. So we tap that energy as a renewable form of energy, use it, then we further biodegrade our effluent in the lagoons, then we let it to the river when the organic components of it are reduced to acceptable levels for return to water bodies.
Cement manufacturing in Kenya has been faced with the challenge of environmental sustainability and energy use. The company engineers have had to develop means to combat this challenge by research.
As an industry, we are a major player. And this economy actually must be grown by industrialization. Just like the Vision 2030 is dictating that we must grow to be a medium-term economy, medium-income economy in the next 15 years. And that means industry will be relied upon to grow the economy, to create jobs, to improve lives, and create wealth for the public. As ARM, we are committed to this goal. We are championing our goals. We are developing in Kenya, in the region, in Africa, but specifically focusing, not losing on our main focus of being efficient and being more population focused, so that the benefits we accrue from our efficiency programs are actually translated into value for the consumers and the general public at large.
With improved productivity and competitiveness and facilitation, the industrial sector is poised to contribute significantly to accelerated economic growth.
Farmers are key stakeholders in this company. We are set to improve the services. We've just installed a new system, agriculture management system, where farmers' details, any transaction with farmers will be updated right from the field. This will, of course, reduce the farmers' complaints to ensure that their accounts are accurate, that they get their statements on time, that they are paid, promptly. Within that system, we have a farmers' portal where a farmer is able to actually check his account.
Competition is good. We believe there is an opportunity to be more efficient, to cut costs, to be able to give this product to our customer. So what we do as General Motors is basically look at the customer and what we need to do to add more value to that customer. We focus more not of who is coming into the market, but what are we going to do to ensure that our customer is getting high quality service. And that has enabled us to really be a very important player in this industry.
Engineers have taken advantage of its strategic leadership position to exploit the opportunities availed in the East African region. Lack of a clearly defined national industrialization policy has negatively affected the industrialization process. The problem has been compounded by the existence of numerous laws, a weak legal framework, and overlapping ministerial mandates, which has culminated into uncoordinated and slow industrialization in Kenya.
If you look at the cost of production, the highest contributor to the cost of production is actually the cost of cane. In your average manufacturing company, you expect that the cost of raw material should not be probably more than 30%. But you find that in this country, the cost of raw material, this is the cost of cane, is 50% and sometimes more. And you might ask yourself, why is that happening? But it's just that it's that raw material that everyone is scrambling for. We have a lot of counterfeits in the market. These are sugar products that are in our own packages, which is also disrupting our market, which means we are really not able to sell at the best prices we could sell at. This, at the end of the day, has also to affect the cost of production.
The 2010 National Industrialization Policy recognized that Kenya is primarily an agricultural-based economy with a fairly skilled human resource base and strategically located to serve as a regional industrial hub.
Three major challenges in the area of market size. Smaller market size, could be bigger market, challenges of the regional opportunity, presence of second-hand vehicles. You see where economies have developed, their auto industry, there are no second-hand vehicles. A classic example in Africa is Egypt. They do not allow importation of second-hand market. So their auto industry is more vibrant. South Africa is another example that we can copy in. Over 500,000 vehicles that are sold annually. That's a big market opportunity that becomes very attractive, can create quite a big number of jobs.
The policy seeks to address issues affecting the industrial sector by including broad-based strategies that would provide the sector with meaningful opportunities to realize its full potential. The industrial sector is a key driver for increasing growth rates, generation of sufficient employment opportunities, and fostering Kenya's integration into the global economy. Power usage and conservation is a major challenge for many industries in Kenya. Companies like Power Techniques have devised power solutions to support Kenya's industrial sector and ensuring that the industries have reliable power solutions that can support heavy machinery and power use.
We are involved in literally every industry you can think of, from cement plant to steel plants, plastic industry, paper industry, newspaper, including nation, for example, hospitality industries, hospitals, schools, universities.
Infrastructure was a main concern for the development, and is still a main concern for the development of this country. And infrastructure is entirely the responsibility of engineers. The engineering in this country has more or less transformed this country from what we are those years ago to what we are today.
Next on Awesome, we look into the water industry. Awesome, brought to you by Kenya Engineer and Rhino Cement, building Africa.
Want to know the latest innovation in engineering? Are you curious about how technology and machinery works? The Kenya Engineer has answers for you. We are an authoritative journal covering engineering stories in Kenya and across East Africa. Log on to www.kenyaengineer.co.ke and get the latest on engineering jobs and tenders. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and join the amazing world of engineering. Kenya Engineer, demystifying engineering.